After making House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, Rob Zombie was handed the Halloween franchise by Dimension Films. He set out to tell a darker, grittier origin of Michael Myers. It was not going to be Halloween 1978 done over again because, well, that's what we already got. The first act would be about Michael's childhood and showing his dysfunctional family and him getting bullied at school. Some might find it over the top, but it was all to build who Michael Myers was and show how or why he became the way he is. It is definitely far from what John Carpenter gave us with his mysterious version of Michael Myers, where he's more of the shape, if you will. Now, this did have fans split. They felt Michael should never have a motive or have his childhood shown. Keep him mysterious because, as most of the fans of the Halloween franchise would say, it keeps him scarier. Either way, Rob Zombie's Halloween was a financial success, grossing over at least $80 million worldwide, the highest of any Halloween film at that time. Due to the success, a sequel was in the talks. Rob didn't want to do it at first, but then he decided to return so he could retain creative control and prevent someone else from tampering with his vision. In 2009, Halloween 2 hit theaters, and it was completely different. Hardcore Halloween fans were not used to it, and it was definitely not what they expected. It was more chaotic and nihilistic. Zombie delved into Laurie's PTSD and trauma. Michael Myers now saw visions of his dead mother walking with a white horse. It was 100% Halloween on cocaine. Which, the trauma and PTSD thing, I feel like I understand where people come from when they criticize Laurie cussing a lot, acting erratic and everything. But she did lose her parents in the first Halloween movie and find out that she's related to a serial killer, and I feel like it's kind of justified that, sure it could be too much, but it is a little justified for and realistic for how she was acting in Halloween 2. Critics and hardcore Halloween fans hated it. Even some of the fans who defended the first film turned on the second one, and there are some who saw the sequel as bold to do something completely different from every other Halloween movie, changing how Michael looked. Rob Zombie wanted Michael to reflect his years surviving in the wilderness, which would make sense. Honestly, people say it's Michael not having a motive that makes him scary, but this version, he is living like he's basically an animal, not part of society, completely detached. This version of Michael seems more depraved and evil compared to the versions we had in the past. I even say even more so than the David Gordon Green trilogy. Michael Myers, he doesn't have to be all clean and have a new mask or jumpsuit in every new movie. Honestly, it takes me out of it whenever I watch an older movie. Michael Myers doesn't have the damage that he sustained from previous movies, like his eye, for example, in Halloween 2, after he got stabbed in the first Halloween movie in Halloween 2. You don't really see damage from that. In fact, it took them 40 years to show the damage in the 2018 reboot. Some fans say, or theorize, that maybe the reason that is, he might have a better healing factor than Jason Voorhees. Either way, shouldn't his look, even if that was possible, shouldn't his look at least slightly, due to him not always going to be able to go to a prison or asylum or even being into a coma, I don't think they have to go to the extremes all the time, but shouldn't his look, change up at least a little bit? At least something different that would be in for his character. I just don't think Michael would care if he's all clean or fresh looking, unless we get a scene of him doing laundry, like what we saw in Terrifier 2. But that would probably be too silly for fans. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure Michael Myers wouldn't care about his looks. I went on a tangent about that. But back to the topic. Halloween 2 made half as much as Rob Zombie's first Halloween. Plans for a third film, Halloween 3D, were rumored, but was eventually scrapped. Years after, Rob Zombie's Halloween movies have gained a small following. Some fans now praise them, saying that they did something different and like that they were more brutal than the originals. There are also some that didn't like it, which is fine either way. Where do I sit with these movies? I appreciate them happening. We got more Halloween movies and a new and fresh take on Michael Myers. So Rob Zombie took risks with the franchise and made it his own, which, if you're going to do a remake, that's 100% of what you should do. To me, I don't understand why fans would want it to be exactly like the original and not try to do anything different at all. For one, Rob Zombie actually understood Michael Myers, and both Halloweens, Michael Myers always did a haunted house set up for people to walk in on. 78, maybe it's because he is still a kid playing with his victims. For Zombie, maybe the same thing, or maybe it's because he really is disturbed. You could argue back and forth on why Michael Myers did stuff like that from each version. Michael Myers has had his mask off in 78 and also in 2009, so there's another comparison as well. And fans don't really argue about seeing his face in 78. Of course, so far, that was the last time we've seen it, and they did tease that we would see it in Halloween 5 during the trailers for that film. So, I don't know if fans were back then excited for something like that, even though we didn't really see his face. I will say, I can understand why people wouldn't like the aspect of him saying anything, which in 2009's Halloween 2, he did at the ending, and the only thing he said was die. In the novelization of 1978's Halloween, Dr. Loomis had said Michael can talk and just chooses not to. With Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, should we be able to agree that there hasn't been a great suspenseful scene in Halloween until even after the hospital chase scene that we've seen that had Michael at his most intimidating and ruthless chase to get Laurie or any victim. It sucked that it was a dream, but still it was well done and still gets me in suspense. I think that Rob Zombie's Halloween films have done good for the franchise. It changed things that maybe should be used in the future of the franchise, and it did things that definitely should not be done in the future of the franchise, like the overuse of characters cussing and unlikable characters. It's just awful characters. So I feel that they get a lot of unnecessary hate. The criticisms are fair, but the hate on Rob Zombie is, I feel like, not really totally fair. It's at the point where some fans believe Rob Zombie himself destroyed the Halloween franchise. He didn't destroy the franchise. You can make the argument that Resurrection already did that by it not being as scary, and if it was actually more goofy than anything. It got horrible reviews. Most fans hated Resurrection and didn't really want a sequel to it. If we gotten it, it would have most likely been straight to DVD. If that happened, who knows how many movies we would have gotten on the original timeline. And actually, would Halloween be as big of a deal as it is now? Maybe, but that's, again, an alternate timeline where we don't know what would have happened. Also, we are still talking about his Halloween movies, so you can't say nobody talks about them, because, yes, we are. They are that divisive, so, yeah, he didn't destroy the franchise. If anything, he kept it popular with, at the time, teens were going to go see them, and then finding the older Halloween movies and watch them. Next thing you know, they might have become fans of, if not bigger fans of the franchise, due to Rob Zombie's influence. Rob Zombie did say that he hated remakes, and in some people's opinions, contradicts himself and remakes one of the most iconic horror films. And he did also once say that remake something that's a piece of shit and make it good. Which also there are horror fans who I would probably say aren't the biggest Halloween fans who would point out that 1978's Halloween isn't the most perfectly made film, and I mean, due to the faces and the acting of the actresses did during their death scenes, they are at least very silly. Also, Michael Myers being in a sanitarium since he was 6 shouldn't at all know how to drive. That isn't him saying that Halloween was a piece of shit movie, and also felt that he could make it better. Now, I am interested in knowing your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Rob Zombie actually destroyed the Halloween franchise, or did he breathe new life into the franchise? When do you think the franchise was actually destroyed, or do you think there is still room for that to happen? Maybe you think if it can survive Rob Zombie and David Gordon Green's trilogy, there is no destroying the Halloween franchise. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Bye.